Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset when it comes to faith, family, fitness, and food. Let's go. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to another episode of I Can Do. I am Benjamin Lee. I hope and pray all is well with you. The title of this podcast is called Delete Facebook. No more mind control. I want to share with you how I got this title. I have deleted Facebook. In the past, I have described myself as being the Facebook hypocrite because probably now for the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone back and forth with social media as a whole. There was a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work that I read back in 2016. I'm sure I've already mentioned this on my podcast in prior episodes. That book really had a big impact upon me when it came to social media, the benefit of deep work, and the true value of being able to focus and have concentration, to be able to concentrate. That's something that is so important for so many people, for all of us really today. And yet, many times, social media can cause us to lose that focus and concentration that we need when it comes to deep work. So I got off Facebook in 2016, and then I got back on back in August of 2016, which was actually a great benefit because I had signed up for this online fitness training program with Bill Phillips. And that really opened up the door for a lot of opportunities towards the end of 2016 and also in 2017. Fast forward to about 2018, and I believe I deleted my Facebook account once again. I can't remember exactly when, but I ended up getting off Facebook for a period of time. And then last year, Nikki and I had dinner with someone that we really admire, and we talked a little bit about social media, and we decided to give it another shot. I decided to give social media another shot. The last couple of weeks, I've been back and forth with respect to whether or not to get off of Facebook. So here's what I've done, and let me tell you where this title of this podcast has come from. When I was debating what to do with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I talked to a buddy of mine and I asked him, he's had a couple of jobs in pharmaceutical sales the last few years. And I asked him, has LinkedIn been of value to you with finding a new job? His reply was, no. His reply was, most of or all of his new positions he has gotten from people, from contacts that he already has. That's certainly not to say that LinkedIn is not valuable or these other platforms. Something that is interesting, though, is that this whole idea of platforms is only about 20 years old. When you think about this idea of platforms and people using their platforms, certainly people can use their platforms for much good. There's a lot of great things that can come from them. But this whole concept of you have to have a platform, it's really a new concept. It's a new idea. So as I was debating about whether or not to get off Facebook, I was talking to my son and I asked him, I said, what do you think? Do you think I should delete Facebook? His response was, well, I don't know. You have to make your own decision. But I don't want to be under mind control. As I think back to what he said, there's a couple of thoughts that come through my mind. As parents, we are the ones that ought to hopefully be leading our children down the right path and teaching them so many different examples and life lessons. And yet, I continue to learn from him. And he teaches me and my wife so many different valuable lessons as well. Don't children do that so often? Aren't they a blessing from God? Then I also began to think about why did he ever make this connection between social media, cell phones, and this idea of mind control? That's a pretty humbling thought, and maybe I think even somewhat embarrassing the more I think about it, because the only place that he got that from was from me. And and my wife. So now that really had the ball rolling in my head. Man, what are we doing? What are we showing? What example are we providing? Again, there's been lots of benefits. I've met so many wonderful people through social media, particularly Facebook. These last 3 months with COVID-19, Facebook and other social media sites have played a very valuable role in the lives of so many people. There's other, I guess, platforms, and maybe that's not the right term when you think about different sites like Zoom and things like that, but make no mistake about it, there's been a lot of good. I've had opportunities with being on other people's podcasts and connecting with people that maybe I haven't talked to in a long time. I love to encourage people. I love to motivate people. So I've had this opportunity as well through social media. But when I hear comments like, I don't want to be under mind control or have mind control happening to me, and when I begin to have these feelings of, anxiousness and just constantly checking and losing sight and losing concentration and just going to these platforms, really not accomplishing a lot, I really have to ask myself, and I really have to ask myself too these last 4 years, if something continues to be such a struggle back and forth, maybe it's time for me just to completely lay it aside. I know. There's always these arguments about why we should stay on, about why we should continue to upload 600 or 6,000 photos. But I got to tell you, I kind of got frustrated. When I think about the time that I've spent, when I think about the information that I've given, when I think about the fact that when I buy something and then I see it in my news feed, that just bothers me. Does it bother you? Does it bother you that our children may be seeing how connected and maybe even how addicted we really are, and yet we tell them not to become addicted to these games, these video games and things like that? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me and no one else is really experiencing this. But it's interesting because as I talk to people, even about young people and the challenges that they have and the mental health challenges that sometimes young children have, it is interesting and quite scary how there's this direct connection between social media and anxiety and depression at times. That's a scary thing. And yet sometimes it just almost feels like we hear it, but we don't really hear it. We see it, but we may not always really see it. And we just continue down this path of least resistance. Have you ever gotten to a point in your life where you just finally said to yourself, enough? It's time for me just to move on. Yes, there's going to be some difficulties, some pain, some frustration, maybe even some withdrawals. Isn't that fascinating that even when it comes to social media, you can feel this withdrawal syndrome almost, where you can involuntarily reach for your phone and want to log into that app, and it's not even on your phone anymore. Delete Facebook. No more mind control. Well, that's kind of my mentality right now. So here's what I've done, and this podcast is all about having an I can do mentality. And sometimes maybe we need to try different things out to really see maybe where we might need to grow. And I think for a lot of people, at least for me and for other people in my family, I know it's been social media. There's so many things directly connected to social media. At times, even problems among the people of God when it comes to social media. The things that are said that people wouldn't typically say to one another face to face or over the phone or even via text message. It's like open season when it comes to being on social media. So as you think about having an I can do mentality, as you think about your faith and your family and your fitness and your food, well, it is interesting how social media can have an impact, I think, in maybe all of these areas. If not careful, we can spend so much time on social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And the time that we spend on those platforms could be well spent time in the book, the Bible. Reading, praying, assisting others. I know. I've used all the arguments myself. I know it's just a few minutes. Well, for me, those few minutes can turn into a few hours. And the sad thing about it is, when you get done, there really isn't a sense of accomplishment. But more often there's a sense of frustration and maybe even envy and jealousy, anger, depending on whose post you saw. And let me just say this as well. It's very interesting and fascinating. Have you ever done this before? Have you ever posted something hoping someone would actually see what you posted? But they don't, they never get back to you. They never leave a response. They never leave a comment on that post. And then you can find yourself, if not careful, almost getting angry yourself because they haven't said anything. And the sad thing about it is this. They may have never even seen that post. And so while I'm sitting or you're sitting in a place and you're frustrated because you think that they should respond or get back to you, it's all in the hands of Facebook and the algorithms. Do we really want to spend our time and our energy and these great in-depth thoughts to chance? Or we don't even know if people are going to see them, or these thoughts and these ideas that we have that could be so motivating and encouraging or inspiring. We don't even know if people are actually reading them. So as I think about this idea of deleting Facebook, and when you think about faith, family, fitness, and food, think about the time that you spend on social media. You know, we talk a lot about time, but a lot of people don't like to measure time to actually see, wow, I've spent 4 hours on social media. You know, that can have a big impact on your knowledge, your biblical knowledge, and increasing your faith. When it comes to our family, the same thing can be said. What COVID-19 has revealed to us, and it's so amazing, there are not a lot of bikes left at Walmart still. There are no dumbbells at Walmart or Academy and these other stores. I've been looking for a new bookshelf for our bedroom. I can't find hardly any of them. It's fascinating how everything has shifted. And yet, even though we may be at home, are we really at home? Are we really connecting to our families? Or are we connecting to that phone? And connecting to everybody else, except the people who actually may be able to truly hear us and help us. When it comes to your fitness, well, listen, again, it goes back to the element of time, doesn't it? The time factor, the time component that could be spent on fitness or on cooking when it comes to our food. What's interesting as well is even, and I'd have to research this so somebody can fact check me if you need to get back to me or let me know if I'm incorrect about this. But even the idea of certain foods that you see on social media, you know, Instagram is really big for this, where people post their foods and what they're eating. There's a lot of great things that are out there. But that can have a subtle impact as well upon things that you may even begin to crave, which is so amazing. Mind control, if not careful. Delete Facebook. So that's what I've done. I've deleted Facebook. I don't think I'm really angry anymore. I think I was very frustrated in the last few weeks here with social media, and for a couple of reasons too. It's more than just what my son said. There's been a lot of other things as well, and I truly believe one of the greatest threats to the people of God is social media. The division that it often produces among Christians, which should not be taking place. And so I've done it again. And some of you are probably laughing when you listen to this. That's okay. But I just did a full sweep. I just deleted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even LinkedIn. Because I just feel like all of these things, I'm checking them, and it almost feels like a part-time job. So what about you? We all have to make this decision. And I know it's what's fascinating about this is that it really becomes a very powerful conversation when we start to bring up what this idea of maybe deleting social media. It gets really, really personal, really, really fast. So you have to make up your own mind. But I will ask you or can get you to consider something. What might your children see? And if you were to ask them about whether or not maybe you should delete social media, what do you think they would say to you? That they wouldn't want to be under mind control? I don't know. But what I know is I know what my son said. And it got me really thinking and really contemplating about what I'm doing and the focus and attention that I need for bigger things that will produce greater results and more joy and gratitude and satisfaction. So that's where I'm at. Now, maybe you may go down a different path. That's up to you. I'm not going to look down upon you or anything like that. But I would ask you just to consider some things. Maybe you read that book by Cal Newport, Deep Work. Or maybe you read the book Digital Minimalism. There's no doubt about it that this is an issue. And when we keep having these same issues over and over and over again, maybe it's time to take a more serious look and to really see whether or not we may be under mind control by some platform. Well, I hope this helps. Stay strong. I can do, so can you, even when it comes to something as difficult as deleting social media from your life. Take care.